Hey, happy Friday, you guys. We've made it. It is a Friday. It's 8 a.m. somewhere. Yeah, it's 8 a.m. Pacific time right now, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and 11 a.m. here, East Coast. Well, I'm not East Coast. I'm Mountain Standard Time, but I think in that East Coast time zone, it's time for All-Jo Madden over here on Picks and Parlays. I hope everyone's having a great start to their Friday morning. We are a countdown to the weekend, you guys, and I know I'm excited. I know you guys are as well. It means we have MLB, a loaded day of MLB tomorrow. We're going to jump into some of those games. We also have Sunday, fun day, week 6. We got some college football tonight, but an absolutely loaded slate of top 25 teams tomorrow on college football slate. We're going to go over a whole bunch of things. We're going to firstly talk about who hurt you yesterday. And if you were rolling with the Rams, man, that was painful. The San Francisco 49ers coming out way better than expected. We all know what happened to those lines, you guys, moving from a 3.5 point look ahead line for the LA Rams, shooting all the way up with those injuries for the 49ers up to 9-point favorite, 9.5-point favorite, almost laying double digits. Well, what happened? The Rams were lucky to be able to push that one to OT, and then we did see the 49ers get that field goal. Major question marks around Sean McVay and his call making at the end of that game. No one wanted to see it finish in a tie because in Survivor, you would have lost anyway, and my heart goes out to Carmine Bianco, as I know he was rolling with the Rams yesterday. I haven't sent him a message yet, but if you guys talk to him today, be nice. He did have the Rams in his circa Survivor. So that's got to be a hard pill to swallow with the questionable call by Sean McVay to go for it and not kick that field goal. At least they could have had the opportunity to get that ball back, but that's who hurt us yesterday. We're going to jump into today. Now, as we go over today's show, we've got two great guests. We've got Anton from Advanced Sports AI, as well as Dan Kaiser. We're going to look at a whole bunch of things with them. I know Anton's been on absolute fire with those picks. We're going to get into what happened last week in his week 4 picks, looking ahead at this week 5. And it is week 6 in college football, like I said. So Dan's going to go over a whole bunch of things, including some MLB for us. It's going to be a loaded show, you guys. And when we go over everything here, do me a favor, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe and notification button over on YouTube. You don't want to miss out on any of the free content. You also don't want to miss out on this great deal over on picksandparlays.net. It is Friday, you guys, and to celebrate Friday, how about grabbing a $7 best bet from all participating handicappers over on picksandparlays.net. We'll see if these guys are participating today, but best bet just for $7, you definitely want to be on that. And then if you don't want bets today, well, there's the Weekend Warrior. The Weekend Warrior, if you're just looking for your football picks this weekend, you can get your picks from your handicapper choice for Saturday and Sunday just for $49. As an added bonus, you guys are going to throw in Monday's plays at no extra cost. This value in this package is just completely there. So make sure you head on over. And of course, after we get through Anton DeBoer's bets here, we're going to also look at Dan Kaiser's bets, and then we're going to do the Madden fade or follow. Yesterday in college football, nice and hot, New Mexico being able to get the win over Sam Houston and their team total to the over. New Mexico was the home dog of that. Gotta love a home dog. I'm looking at a couple other bets today. I got 3 bets in college football for you guys. I might have some look aheads in NFL as well that we can discuss. But let's jump straight into the show. We do have X versus the books engagement. I'm not engaged. Is there an engagement that I don't know about? I'm not engaged, you guys. Maybe. No, I'm not. I promise I'm not engaged. Let's go over X versus the books really quick here. That's thrown me here on a Friday morning. Who's saying that I got engaged? And who too? Like, please tell me it's some like really crazy good looking celebrity. Let's go with that. Okay, let's do X versus the books, you guys. Sunday night primetime action. I want to know who you're liking in the Sunday game. Primetime, the Patriots versus the Bills. We got an over under in this one of 49.5. Head on over to X and get these bets in. Currently, we're seeing the love coming in on the Bills, laying the 8.5. You guys, last night we saw the Rams fall as a 9.5, 8.5, even 5.5 point favorite. They lost that game outright. Could the Patriots be the next team to lose outright here? Or to win, pull off the upset? I don't know. Buffalo, such a solid team, especially at home. What, they've won their last 13 games at home, you guys. Now an 8.5 point favorite. It's a large spread. We're going to have to look at the scheduling spot for the Buffalo Bills, see if they are in a game situation where maybe they're looking ahead to their next opponent. We're going to look at everything for this game, but as we do, make sure you head on over to X to get your votes in. Let me know and drop those prop bets below. We're also going to look at where you guys are going. Oh, I didn't say fiance. No, it's probably just like my weird accent here. I didn't say fiance. Phew. I'm glad there's no engagement rumors going around. There might be now. But you guys, drop those prop bets below. Bragging rights are always on the line. I want to hear what you guys have out there for the Sunday night football game and for the weekend. If you're liking something, let me know what you're liking. And again, hit that like, subscribe, and retweet button if you're watching on X. And if you're watching on IG, I see a whole bunch of you on IG, on X. Come on over to YouTube. We want to chat. We're chatting today. Cody's in here. Adrian's in here. And I want to talk to all of you guys, hear what you're liking out there, and get your questions for the guys coming in. So let's bring in, first, we're going to bring in Anton, see what he's liking from Advanced Sports AI. Anton, happy Friday.
Good morning, Joe. Thank you. By the way, I heard Keith Urban, and you have the clue behind you with Australia. So that's the rumor going around.
That is the rumor going around. I tell you, I saw Keith Urban a couple of weeks ago here in Calgary. Fantastic show. If you guys haven't seen him live, I definitely encourage you to go do so. If you don't, even if you don't like country, but you love guitar, he is an incredible guitarist. So I would
see. So you and Keith Urban were in the same place at the same time.
We were. There goes the rumors, Anton. I absolutely love it. Okay, it is week 5. We saw the crazy upset win last night for the 49ers over the LA Rams. How was the model looking at last night's game?
Yeah, very interesting. The model had San Francisco all the way.
Wow.
And it was so crazy that my staff and I refused to push it out to but it was one of those things. It was solid, high confidence pick. San Francisco actually +8 or more. So I was as surprised as everybody else, but that's how it works with our AI driven model. Luckily for me, as I was leaving campus, I saw the cleaning guy in the hallway, and I told him San Francisco, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to run and make my pick." And I said, whoa, don't go crazy. He said, but he did go. So I'm hoping that he's a happy man today.
He definitely would be a happy man, especially if he sprinkled on that money line. We saw that money line go all the way up to +350 last night, and I wasn't brave enough to take it. I thought I was sitting in a really good spot after laying the 5.5 with the Rams, and then them shooting up to 9-point favorite, 9.5-point favorite on some books. And I did think we would see a good performance out of the 49ers, but not such a bad performance out of the LA Rams. They started off that game just terrible, and they were lucky to get that one to OT. What did you think of the play calling by Sean McVay at the end of that game? Because that is the talk of the game. We know Shanahan's always had the best over McVay. I think the record now is 11-6 for Kyle Shanahan when he faces Sean McVay. But when you look at Sean McVay not going for a field goal, tying that and giving them another opportunity and going for it there on 4th down, did you think that was the right call, Anton? Because I sure didn't.
Not quite, although I think he was probably thinking of having to stop the 49ers. You know, if they had gone down the field and scored a field goal in the next drive, it would have been over. So that's probably where his head was. But I'm actually thinking that I have a big sports analytics group at my university, sports analytics research group, and we work with NFL teams. We worked on the changes to the kickoff rules and what the implications are. We're working on revisiting 4th down strategies, and definitely overtime strategies with all the recent rules. That's on our list as well. But these things are really interesting, and it's funny how, unlike, for instance, baseball, that changes rules very seldom, the rule changes in the NFL come pretty much every year. So there's always something interesting to talk about.
I tell you one thing I don't like is any game finishing in a tie. So at least we didn't finish in that dead 23-23 zone. We did have a winner, and anyone who had the Rams in Survivor, I feel for you. My heart goes out to you because that looked like that was the play of the week. I'm glad I got ejected from my Survivor. I took the Jets on Monday night, so definitely wasn't a good one for me looking to get into a new Survivor pool out here, though, Anton. But how did the model do in week 4?
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm very glad you asked because we're still riding high from our week 4. And those of you who go to Picks and Parlays, you'll see us on the leaderboard. We had the picks that we pushed from the model to Picks and Parlays. We were 4-0. We had New Orleans with the points against Buffalo. And we had the Giants with the points against the Chargers. And then we had a double goodness in the evening. We had, that was an interesting one, the Dallas plus 6.5. The model saw that coming all the way. And then we had over 46.5, and that was an easy one. So we were looking good. In addition, the model picked off a bunch of overs. And I think it's interesting because the scoring was plentiful overall in the NFL this past weekend. We had Philadelphia at Tampa Bay over 43.5. The New Orleans at Buffalo game over 47.5. Washington, Atlanta over 45. The Cleveland at Detroit pushed at 44. So notice the pattern, over. The overs had it. And so my staff and I are watching the lines closely to see if the market is reacting at all to that, because it was very juicy. The model saw right through it, and we absolutely cleaned up. I have free pizza for the next several weeks because my local pizza place, those guys are ecstatic. So I gave them a few tips, and they're like, what is this guy living here? How does he know so much about he can predict the future? So I tell people, don't go crazy, but our model we've worked long and hard on it, and it's pretty solid. And we're looking ahead to week 5 now with some picks in the works as well.
Okay, we're going to look ahead to week 5, but the question we all want to know, pineapple or no pineapple on your pizza, Anton?
I like sugar, so
okay.
But usually if I'm ordering for a group, I know better. So it's a very private thing.
Pineapple on the pizza is the private event on a Friday night. I love pineapple on my pizza. And if you thought that was weird for anyone that doesn't like pineapple, I also love mango on my pizza with jalapenos and chicken. Or what is that spicy sausage? If you haven't tried it, don't knock it. It is so good. So definitely something you want to try. But
sounds good. I've never had mango on my
you
pizza.
Definitely have to try it. It's worth a shot. It's just you slice it nice and thin, small chunks, not big ones. It's definitely a difference on your pizza. Let's jump into these week 5 games. We've got a full slate out there on a Sunday. I know last week those totals were really jumping off the board to you. Are totals jumping off the board again here in week 5?
Not really. And they're moving. I think that the market is paying attention. So we had some early looks that looked pretty good, and the market is moving away from our advantage, unfortunately, right now. Just not in all cases, but it is interesting that the market's smart. So, but we are looking. The model is paying attention to the Denver at Philadelphia game, and Philadelphia isn't invincible. They may squeak by, but we'll see what happens. It's really hard. So this is the thing with statistical approaches, AI. It's hard to pick one game. Really, what I recommend is that people just subscribe to us and ride us for as long as possible for the season, that's where you really get into the good range. People ask who's going to win on Sunday in one game. I don't, it's a probability, but what we've tuned the model for is overall success. In the case of overs, we've fine-tuned the model to about 75%. For spreads, about almost 68%. So it's really the long game. But it is, we do, when we look at these individual games, sometimes like last night, we scratch our heads, but you have to trust in the model. So it's looking at Denver. We're following that spread closely. That's likely to be a pick for us. So we're liking Denver with the points. Also looking at the Lions at Cincinnati. And, -10 is still a comfortable range for Detroit. I think, just speaking not from the model, but from myself, I noticed that the Lions really like to, they push the dagger in pretty hard. They don't sit on leads, at least, especially last season. They were the team that I would say would just really stick it to teams.
Oh, Dan Campbell has that spite in him. He wants to really give it to them for sure.
Yeah. So it always worries me when teams play to win, and everybody wants to play as hard as possible, of course, and I've spoken to pro athletes about that. But you also have to factor in, you don't want athletes to risk injuries and things like that, in so-called garbage time, if there is such a thing. So but -10 is still pretty good. We're watching the Buffalo New England game.
Okay.
That line has really moved, and that's what it's up around -8,
Mm-hmm.
8.5. That's getting a little salty.
Definitely is.
So so that's one we're just keeping an eye on. And then Minnesota at Cleveland is
The overseas game
for the total.
Okay.
Yeah.
35.5. That is a crazy low total over there. Carson Wentz versus Dylan Gabriel, right?
Right.
What do you think we're going to get out of Dylan Gabriel in this game? I know Shoto not happy that he's not being moved up to that quarterback position and still in that third position as well. So it's going to be an interesting game overseas to see what happens out there on the field with Dylan Gabriel. I'm excited for his first start.
It is going to be interesting. Both teams have been there for a while. Obviously Minnesota has been there longer, but I don't know that being overseas, it could be a factor or not. But it's a crazy low total, and the model, naturally is saying that they should be able to go over that. Yeah. Although we've seen other games like this where the model, looking at what the model has predicted versus the line, and a surprising number still go under. Now, some of those games are weather related too. We have to be careful.
Okay, so interesting. I just want to dive into these. You don't have to give me your thoughts if you don't want to. I was just looking at the passing props. We know the Minnesota Vikings have a solid defense, but it's so hard for these teams to prepare for a quarterback making their start in the NFL. We have all the game tape we know in college on Dylan Gabriel, but we saw what Jackson Dart was able to do versus the New York Giants, you guys. And I would be very cautious with taking Dylan Gabriel's props to the under, even though we've got a strong defense here for the Minnesota Vikings. His passing props only 176.5, and it can go one of two ways. And I would be more optimistic that he's able to go over the 176.5 than go under it, just because the game tape's not out, right? I think looking ahead at Jackson Dart after the game versus the Chargers, teams are going to know how they're going to use him, right? He's not going to be able to rush 10 times for 54 yards. And then when you look at Dylan Gabriel here, we know he has the legs as well as the arm. His rushing props 14.5. I'd take Dylan Gabriel over 14.5 rushing yards. I don't know about you, but I think that's just too low. And I also think the passing prop for Carson Wentz is too low. Carson Wentz has proven that he can get that ball moving. This is his second game over in Dublin. And I would be shocked if he didn't pass for 200 yards on the Cleveland Browns defense. And I know Myles Garrett, I know this defense is so sound, but I still see those passing yards coming and some big plays, Anton. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, just as a word of caution, our model doesn't provide insights into individual player performances. So I'm, just speaking as a football fan. I agree with you completely. I think your insight is spot on.
Yeah,
So,
it's gonna be a great
so-
game, early game. Are you waking up? Are you pulling out the pizza with pineapple on it for this morning game? Because I tell you, I'm sometimes tempted to order pizza, sit down in the morning and watch this.
Yeah, I think I get confused with Sunday morning games. So
Yeah.
probably no, I don't do pizza. I don't do soda before noon. That's my rule.
Okay. I
Yeah.
normally don't either, but it feels
But-
like a leftover kind of pizza from Saturday night
Yeah.
kind of day this Sunday morning as we wake
I
up
can be
early, 9:31
I can be
Eastern.
convinced. Eastern, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not too bad Eastern time.
No.
I'm normally up by then, but for those of you to the west, I guess it's nice to truly wake up with football, have football all day. It's great, great time of year.
It absolutely is a great time of year. Now, looking at the Weekend Warrior, you're going to have your picks up for the Weekend Warrior. Are you participating in the $7 best bet that's on today?
We probably are. We'll post something within the next hour or so.
Okay, that's awesome. So if you want Anton's best bet for Friday, it's just up for grabs for $7 over on picksandparlays.net. And again, that Weekend Warrior package is definitely going to have those picks loaded in for that this weekend. Get every play from your Picks and Parlay handicapper of choice for Saturday and Sunday for only $49. As a bonus, they're also going to throw in those picks for Monday. So definitely a good thing to jump on over. Anton, you got anything else for us before we bring Dan in?
Just come on, guys. Join us. Join Advanced Sports AI. We have been working really hard. If you want AI, it's not ChatGPT. None of that. ChatGPT is great, but not for sports predictions. So come along with us. This is a new era for sports where we really have the tools to make predictions. And so just encourage you to ride the Advanced Sports AI train this weekend and into the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And what better time to give it a try, you guys, if you're skeptical? Skeptical? I can't even say the word. It's because it shouldn't exist.
Yeah, well, I hear it a lot. Skeptical.
Yes, that is how you pronounce it. If you are,
but don't be skeptical. Look at past performance. And we have a lot of science behind this, and the NFL is primed for making these kinds of predictions using AI tools.
Anton, one thing I love that you said is that your model was calling the 49ers to be able to get the win. And you said this at the top of the show, but then you didn't give it out because you thought it was just too off. The model was dead on. But I love that you guys are also taking the AI recommendations and then having those discussions with your team and working out exactly where you want to go with those picks. You're not just throwing out everything the AI model says.
No. With AI, and this is part of what I do at my university, we talk about how to use AI properly, and keeping the human in the loop is a very big part of it. And that's what we do.
Absolutely. Well, Anton, I wish you all the best in all of your bets. Thank you so much for joining us here on All-Jo Madden. We will see you next week, next Friday. Hope to see you then.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay,
Look forward to it. All right.
Okay, you guys, head on over to picksandparlays.net and grab Anton's advanced AI sports packages over there. You don't want to miss out. I'm seeing so many of you guys over on Instagram. Really hard to keep up with your comments, your questions over on IG. I know Jesse Schultz is over there and he is saying it's not 8 a.m. where he is rolling. We're also seeing some comments coming in about it's payday, let's rake, and I completely agree. Let's get some money. Also, another comment from Barry saying Josh Allen against Drake May. Bills win, probably cover. So let me know your thoughts. We're going to have another look at that poll as we go there, you guys. See where X versus the books is coming in right now. Again, we're looking at Sunday Night Football. If you haven't got your bets in, make sure you do head on over to X and put those in now. So let me just pull it up. We're still seeing those numbers sitting pretty solid. I'd show you the graphic, you guys. Actually, I'll show you the graphic, and then just know the graphic hasn't been updated because I've been talking with you guys here. But not much movement. We're still seeing right around the 38.6% of people on the Bills laying the points. 36.4%, a little bit more love coming in for the Patriots. Where we're seeing the biggest change on the screen, you are seeing the over 49.5, 15% of you liking that number. Originally, as we started the show, it's moved to 16% on that, but the under is where it's starting to get the lack of love. The under, only 8% of people liking the under in this game. That total sitting at 49.5 is going to be interesting to see if it ticks up. I think the Patriots are being a little bit underestimated in this one, which could push us over the total. And Adrian coming in saying the dogs are barking this weekend. I always love a weekend of barking dogs. That's for sure. You're rolling with Arizona, 6 a.m. NFL. Oh, you're in Arizona. I was going to say rolling with the Arizona Cardinals, but you're in Arizona, 6 a.m. NFL. It's a great time of year when we get to watch those early games, wake up to it. But the poll is up over on X, so make sure you guys do jump on over. Get your votes in on the best bets this weekend for Sunday Night Football. And don't forget, this Friday, right now, today, grab a $7 best bet from all participating handicappers over on picksandparlays.net. You don't want to miss out on that. I am going to bring Dan Kaiser in just a second. We got a lot to talk about with Dan, so make sure you do hit that like, hit that subscribe and notification button before he pops in here. And then in the comments, if you're watching on IG, if you're watching on X, come on over. Drop those questions, drop those comments over here live on YouTube. We want to hear what you guys are liking, you guys. So please come on over here. I want to talk to you this morning, but we're going to bring Dan Kaiser into the show, see what he's got for us today. Dan, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here today.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice being here. It's nice that I survived another Will Vest outing yesterday with the Tigers, and I didn't know if I'd be awake this morning if you would have lost that game, but hey, here we are.
Well, congratulations on the Detroit Tigers, because I know so much love was coming in for the Cleveland Guardians to take yesterday's game and that series as a whole. Lots of disrespect coming in for the Tigers, saying they're just not made to get past the Cleveland Guardians. They did it.
A lot of it was coming from me, actually. A lot of that disrespect. So it was a long September. Yeah. So, hey, they got the job done. It's going to be tough the next round against Seattle, but hey.
It's going to be a definite hard round, but they still have the ability to be able to get there. So when we're looking at MLB, the divisional games kicking off tomorrow, we're looking at the Cubs versus the Brewers, the Yankees versus the Blue Jays, you guys, the Dodgers versus the Phillies, and the Tigers versus the Mariners. Dan, when you look at those as a whole, which series do you think is the toughest?
Probably Dodgers, Phillies.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be tough. And then Brewers, Cubs. I mean, that's just the central division rivalry battle. You know, the Cubs stole Greg Counsell from the Brewers, and I'm not sure the Brewers miss him. So yeah, I think those two are going to be the best two series. I can see those going the distance for both of them.
Yeah, they definitely should go the distance in both of those there. We're looking at teams that are going to be highly competitive. I was shocked a lot of people were thinking the Dodgers and the Yankees would be out in that wild card round. I just don't see the playoffs without the Dodgers and the Yankees. But could you see in this next round here both be eliminated? It would be outstanding if the Blue Jays can get past the Yankees and the Phillies. I think the Phillies have a better chance of getting past the Dodgers. What are your thoughts on those two?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Phillies have a really good chance. I think the Phillies would be the favorite to win the series if you know they still had Wheeler pitching. But you know, I think they got a good pitching staff. They got the offense that can compete. That's the thing. They got the offense that can compete with the Dodgers. I mean, that's the one thing of the Dodgers. That offense is outstanding. But I think they got the offense that can compete. So I think that one's going to be really close. It's going to probably come down to the bullpens, which bullpen is more effective. And then Toronto and the Yankees. I mean, they battled it out all year in the East. So, yeah, I don't know. it's the evil empire. So I'll have to go. I'll have to go with Toronto.
Yeah.
I have to root for a Canadian team and go with Toronto in that one.
Oh man, I would love to see my Blue Jays get it done. But Jesse Scholes was on the show last week and he was talking about the Jays, how they're just a team duct taped together. And I kind of feel like they are the Blue Jays. As a fan, Dan, I gotta say, they always hurt my heart. And then I'm skeptical of putting money on them because I don't want them to hurt my heart and my wallet. It's better one or the other, not both of them at the same time. So I don't know if I'm going to bet that series at all. If the Jays are able to get through, I will be so thankful. We know we have had improvements with those bats, with the pitching, but we'll see what that bullpen is able to do. The bullpen still scares me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm just the opposite. I bet against the Tigers a lot in September. So.
Okay, so let's get into your Tigers, the Detroit Tigers and Seattle Mariners.
If they broke my heart, if they broke my heart losing the game, at least I had money when it was over. So that's true.
That's true, right? Like, and that's kind of how I feel. I bet against my Chargers this past weekend versus the New York Giants. I thought they were in a terrible situational spot. There are cases where you can bet against your teams for sure. But what are you going to do with this Detroit Tigers, Seattle Mariners series? They have the later game here on Saturday, 8:39 Eastern. We're seeing this one starting. The total sitting solid at 7. Pitchers are yet to be announced in this. The Tigers a plus 184 underdog. Can they come into Seattle and win game number 1? Seattle has the rest advantage, but will that be a bad thing for this team?
Back if you know anything about the history of baseball, you remember the Boston Braves, and they used to always say "spawn insane and pray for rain." I think the Tigers here. I think the Tigers here, it's Scooble and pray for a monsoon. I mean, if we could get Scooble to pitch 3 or 4 games in this series, we'd be great. But that's the thing. The Tigers are kind of like the Blue Jays. The pitching staff is duct tape and super glue. I mean, outside of Scooble, Larry Mize is decent, but he's not great. And Jack Flaherty, I mean, flip a coin and he's either going to pitch a good game like he did yesterday, or he's going to get knocked out in the second round. And the thing about this, you look at this Tigers team. Back in July, August, they were the best team in baseball. They had a great offense, and then they fell apart. Seattle's got the best offense in the league. Their starting rotation is awesome, and they got 2 great relievers. So on paper, there's how do you beat the Seattle team, especially if the Tigers coming in the way they've been playing? I think the biggest thing about this, I think the Tigers can keep this close if they start hitting. But my biggest problem with the Tigers, and it's been this way for the last month and a half, is their bullpen is atrocious. It's terrible. Like I said, I survived Will Vest yesterday. The one thing, thankfully, he can't catch a baseball because I did have the over in that game, and because he dropped that ball, at least I hit the over. But, I'm like Jim Leland of the Tigers, former manager. I sit around with a bottle of Tums sitting next to me with Rolaids. Because I know when he comes in the game, I have to pop a few of them. But in this series, I got to be smart. And, Seattle's going to have – I think Seattle's going to win this series in probably 5 or 6 games. Or I think it's a 5-game series. Seattle will win this series. I mean, I think the most you're going to get out of Scooble is maybe 2 starts. I don't think he's going to go in game 1, maybe game 2 and 4. So I don't know. I'll have to wait till next year with the Tigers. I'll have to take Seattle in this one. I just think their pitching's too strong compared to the Tigers, and their offense is just at this point in the season just better than the Tigers.
Okay, so when Screwball comes out, though, do you think Screwball could be able to get them a win? Like, is that something we should be watching for with the pitching matchups, no matter who he's facing there for the Seattle Mariners? Or is this something, you mentioned the bullpens, where you're looking at the Detroit Tigers in the first 5 innings? Because I love the first 5 inning bats.
Yeah, with Screwball, I'd go first 5 innings. But I think in this, as long as he doesn't throw a lot of pitches, I think AJ Hinch will probably ride him for a full 9 if they can get a full 9 out of him. They can't. It's this is it. This is the season, So I think it'd be like college. They'll just waste them, Just let them throw 130 pitches and get a win, and hopefully, it doesn't blow out as a
Keep your fingers crossed there, because we know the Yankees pulled their ace in that one game that they did lose, and they shouldn't have. So you've got to wonder what management is going to do in situations like this. But you're going to go against your team, taking the Seattle Mariners to take the series. Let's start looking at some college football. It is a loaded day of college football out there, and I know you do have one game circled here. So in college football, we got the matchup tonight, 10:30 Eastern, between BYU and West Virginia. Now, West Virginia is up to an 18.5-point favorite, total of 46.5 in this one. Dan, where are you going to go with your bets?
Yeah, that's a big number. I'm looking at the total in this one, actually. This is the second week in a row West Virginia is playing a team from Utah. They got destroyed last week, 48-14 to Utah. They're 0-2 in the Big 12, 2-3 overall. They're just a bad football team. I'm still trying to figure out how they beat Pittsburgh in the backyard brawl. They're just bad. They're bad on both sides of the ball. BYU comes in this game. They're undefeated, 4-0. They're looking really good offensively. Bear Brockmeyer it leads his team. He's throwing for about close to 700 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. And if you think about this, the guy starting for Tulane right now. He was BYU starting quarterback last year, and he's really good. But he did he got a little bit of trouble, with the Mormon school rules, and he's now at Tulane. And it always makes me wonder, thinking about that, how Jim McMahon ever lasted 4 years in Provo.
Blind eye, turning a blind eye in some of those cases, right?
Yeah, I just never figured that one out. But you look at this BYU team; they're putting up 38.5 points a game, and their defense is, just giving up less than 10. They're pretty solid. They rank 23rd offensively, and the defense is ranked 4th in the country. This West Virginia, their quarterback is terrible. They use 5 different running backs. They don't really have the bell cow running back, so they play 5 different guys there. And the defense has allowed 89 points in the last 2 games. They only scored 22 points on offense. They're just not a good football team, and if I had to take a side, I'd take BYU. But I'm looking at the total in this one. I'm looking at the under. This BYU's defense has been dominant, and Virginia's just basically a one-dimensional running team right now. BYU's not giving up more than 21 points in a game. West Virginia's not scored scored 14 or less in 3 of the last 4 games against FBS opponents. BYU likes to run the ball, both with their running backs, and Brockmeyer can do some running. I think that you're going to see a lot of running from both teams in this one. That keeps the clock running. Mm-hmm. The under's dropped to 46.5. Personally, I'd probably bet it up to 47.5, because if something happens, a late touchdown, and this thing ends up 27-20, I don't want to be kicking myself in the rear because, I played it safe. I didn't want to lay the little extra money. But yeah, I like the under in this one, and I wouldn't be surprised if West Virginia gets 20 points. So if BYU doesn't score, doesn't put this game over by itself, then I don't think this game's going to go over.
Yeah, absolutely. BYU has to come out strong. One thing that BYU is so good at is creating that havoc out there. And I never think that an interception and a pick 6 is out of the question when I talk about BYU, because we know they're thriving with that kind of havoc. But you're looking at a game on Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. We see the matchup between Michigan State and Nebraska. Now, Michigan State, 11.5-point dog on the road. Nebraska is coming in. Sorry, we got a total of 50.5. That's what I was trying to get out. We got a total of 50.5. Nebraska laying 11.5. Michigan State plus 11.5. Where do you want to go with this one, Dan?
Yeah, well, I think this is going to be an interesting game because both coaches need a win here. Spartan Nation, we're not real happy right now. We're getting a little restless with John Smith, and if you know anything about Spartan football, this is the second time we've had a John Smith as a coach, and the first one didn't go well either. So I mean, I like this coach. I like the hire when they hired him, I knew it was going to take some time, but the nation's not giving him a lot of time. He came in after the Mel Tucker fiasco. First year was great under Tucker. We got the 10-2, K9 carried the ball, led us to a good record, but nobody knew that Mel Tucker had a different definition of chopping wood. So we're under it's rebuilding. It's going to take some time. I'm looking at this game and Matt Rule. Let's look at Matt Rule. He's under a lot of pressure in Nebraska. They're not real happy with him. He's losing games. They should have won last week against Michigan. But I think this game's going to come down to strengths against weaknesses. Nebraska comes in surprisingly with the number 2 passing offense in the country. You think of Nebraska in the old days of Tommy Frazier, Scott Frost, Mike Rozier, and just running the ball. But they've been passing the ball a lot. And they're going against the Michigan State secondary that is the worst in the Big Ten and one of the worst in the country. And it's hard for us Spartan fans remembering a few years ago when we had the no-fly zone in the secondary. And now it looks like those guys are back there just with the red cones and just waving them past. I mean, it's been pathetic. I know this is a big number, and both teams are coming off a bye, which means they should be healthy. Michigan State's starting tackles out. They rely on their running game, but that's not great as in years past. It's a big number. I think Nebraska is going to get out to an early lead. I think it's going to come down to, can Aiden Childs lead them to a backdoor cover? And right now, if I had to pick, can Aiden Childs lead them to a touchdown at the end of the game to cover, or throw an interception or fumble? I'm going with the interception and fumble. I think, to be honest, I think Nebraska wins this one by 14 to 17 points, and they'll cover the 12.
Laying the big number with Nebraska there for the Saturday game between Michigan State and Nebraska. Like where you're going there, Dan. And I do know that you're looking ahead to the NFL on Sunday. We've got a matchup between Detroit and the Cincinnati Bengals, with Detroit laying a heck of a lot of points as well. They're laying the 10.5. Would you be willing to lay the 10.5 with Detroit as well?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Now, after week 1, no. I mean, after week 1 Lions performance, no. But you got to remember, the Lions don't play anybody in preseason, so that was like basically their first preseason game. Yeah. Their offensive line had 3 new interior linemen. They looked like they never played together before. But you look at the last 3 games, Jared Goff, I don't think he gets talked enough as being one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL right now. He hasn't been sacked in 3 games, and he's no Lamar Jackson. He's no Justin Fields. He's not a guy that's going to get away from people, but that, the Lions protected him. This Lions team, it's weapons. You can try to take away Amon-Ra St. Brown, but then you got J-Mo, you got Laporta, even their second tight end catches touchdown passes. They got 2 great running backs. And as you talked about a little bit earlier, Dan Campbell, he doesn't know what a punt is, I don't think, anymore. He just goes for everything on 4th down, up by 21, or it doesn't matter, in his own.
It's a 4-letter word.
50. It doesn't matter. We'll just go for it. That's what we do. Stop us if you can. And the Cincinnati team, I know they got. The beginning of the season, you circled this one on the calendar, and you're like, yes, this is going to be like first team to 50. It's going to be run and gun, wide open offensive displays, but Joe Burrow's not playing, and Jake Browning's not good, and Cincinnati can't run the ball. They average, I think, 50 yards a game. Their leading rusher has 93 yards. That's it total. They're not good, and I don't see them scoring against this Lions defense the way they've been playing. I mean, if you can sack Lamar Jackson 7 times and basically bottle him up, I think Aiden Hutchinson could get 3 or 4 or 5 sacks in this game alone. Yeah. I just think I know it's a lot of points. Again, it's at 10.5. So personally, if it was me, I'd buy it down to 10.5. I personally, I don't mind doing that. because you could get something fluky happen and it lands on 10, and then you're like, oh, So yeah, I like the Lions in this one. I think they win this one big, and yeah, it's on the road, but it's in Cincinnati. It's not November. There's going to be no snow. It's Goff. I think Goff will have a big game. The running backs have a big game. I think they'll easily cover this number.
They should be able to, for sure. Dan, you're getting that love. People wanting you to go to Chicago because you're absolutely amazing. So I'm sure that comment is for you out there. But let's just look at the Detroit Lions schedule. This is something I love to do. My only concern with the Detroit Lions is who they have on deck. Primetime game next Monday, Kansas City Chiefs. Would you be comfortable with the Lions in the first half? I love a first half bet when you've got a matchup like that, primetime on deck. Lions first half to get things done, or do you feel more comfortable with the full game?
I don't know, personally, I feel comfortable with the full game. Only for one reason. Also, I understand, and I had that in my head, and I just forgot to say about the look ahead game with the Chiefs coming up. But again, this is Dan Campbell. I don't think he'll allow them to look ahead. Yeah. I don't think they're gonna. Well, you looked at like last week or the last 2 weeks, they still run trick plays. They're still running their trick plays. I don't think he's gonna, vanilla the playbook. They're just he's gonna do what the Lions do, and then hey, Kansas City, this is what we do. You know what we do. We beat you before. This is what we do. Just stop us. Don't care. I think and if you think about it, they're one of the only teams that voted to keep the tush push, and they don't even use it. But it's like, we play Philadelphia this year. Let them try to run it. I just
cockiness has paid off for Dan Campbell. It also has shot him in the foot in a couple of games. So we know that Sean McVay, I think that cockiness last night, thinking that Matt Stafford could get it done, also shot himself in the foot. But I understand if the 49ers got the ball back, they would have taken it.
Yeah, no, see, I disagree. I have two problems with that. One, because if you saw it the last time San Francisco had the ball, Mac Jones could hardly get off the field.
Oh, he was hurt bad.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was back or ribs because he wasn't looking good sitting on the bench. So I think I would have taken my chances, kick the field goal, and let him try to beat me if he's hurt, and maybe blitz a couple guys and try to knock him out. Second, if you're going to talk about going on fourth down, okay, fine. That play call was atrocious.
It was.
I mean, they hadn't been able to run the ball up the middle the whole game. Why don't you just why take the ball out of Stafford's hands?
Yeah. You should have heard the choice words that came out of my mouth watching that play unfold out there, because it was not pretty here in the Madden house. But Dan, we've got
one thing though. Sorry. Okay. One quick thing on your Dylan Gabriel prop. Be careful. Yeah. Brian Flores owns rookie quarterbacks in their first time he faces them.
Very, very good point there. He's got to be studying a ton of college tape on Dylan Gabriel. We're going to see what Dylan Gabriel's made of. That number of 176.5 might just be too high then, Dan, if Brian Flores is able to come out and shut him down. We know Minnesota's defense is so strong. I'm going to probably stay off all of the props. I was leaning to the over, but now that you say that, that is definitely a great fact that we all needed to know. So thank you for throwing that out. We've got the $7 best bet today over on picksandparlays.net. Are you participating in it today?
Yeah, I am. It's a bad card this Friday. It's not really much going, but I do have a play on the total of the San Diego State, Colorado State game that goes off at like 10:30 tonight. So yeah, I do have one play up. I'll be really heavy tomorrow, baseball, college football, and then NFL Sunday.
Which brings us into that weekend warrior, because college football as well as NFL, if you're looking for Dan Kaiser's best bets in that, you can grab his weekend warrior package. That's just $49, you guys. You'll get all of his picks for Saturday as well as Sunday. And as an added bonus, because Dan loves you guys all so much, he's going to throw in those Monday plays as well at no extra cost. But Dan, thanks so much for joining me here today on All-Jo Madden, handing out those picks. Hopefully you're cashing big tonight in all of those bets.
That's what all we can hope for. You're only as good as your next play. So
How true is that? It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. We're going to wipe the Rams off the board. Let's get into this Friday slate. Again, Dan has a best bet that you can grab for just $7 over on picksandparlays.net in the late college football game tonight. Dan, thanks so much. Hopefully you can join us again next week.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, you guys, head on over to picksandparlays.net to grab Dan Kaiser's best bet for today for only $7. It is in the late college football game. You don't want to miss out on that. It is time for a fade or a follow. The Madden plays out here, and you guys, I can't wait to dive into this. I've got 3 college football games on today's slate that I did dig into, looking at some bets that I'm liking in these. We just want to have one more look, though, at what you guys are liking out there, X versus the books. I want to see if there's been any movement. I can see all of you guys saying hi on IG, so big hi to everyone on IG. In X, I can't see your comments at all, so come on over to YouTube. And if you're on IG, come on over to Picks and Parlays on YouTube as well. Looking at that poll right now, we're still sitting pretty much the same. The Patriots getting 38.5% of the love on the spread, plus the 8.5. The Bills laying the 8.5 at 34.6, and that over under 15 and 11. So some love coming in there for that over. We're not seeing any props being dropped, you guys. I keep telling you, bragging rights are on the line. I want to hear your best bets, your first touchdown props, so that you can brag to me afterwards. And you guys just aren't giving me that information. I want to give you some trends first, as well as some bets in college football tonight. We're going to start off here looking at some trends in MLB. I want to give you these trends now. They do go out the window with the playoffs, but as long as you know them, that's where I want to go. So MLB streaks, the Seattle Mariners have won the last 9 as a favorite versus the American League. They're minus 220 favorite though. In game 1 versus the Detroit Tigers, we don't have, as of yet, pitching matchups laid out. We also have seen the Seattle Mariners cover the run line as a favorite against American League in their last 7. That run line laying 1.5 is coming in at plus 101. So if you're a trend better, the trends are telling you the Seattle Mariners on the run line in game 1. If the Detroit Tigers throw out Screwball, there's no way I would be taking that. The Dodgers have been hot. They've won their last 7 games. They've also covered the run line in their last 6. The Dodgers laying 1.5 in that first game versus the Phillies is going to be a huge test for them. Laying the 1.5 coming in at plus 171. One thing I have liked when I look at the Dodgers lineup is looking at that Yurfie. When we get into these matchups, though, in the postseason, hard to bet a Yurfie. The Yurfie coming in at plus 105. That's the yes runs in the first inning between the Dodgers and the Phillies. That is cashed in the last 5 versus the LA Dodgers. So when we look at the pitching matchup, Ohtani versus Sanchez here, can we see one of these pitchers give up a run in the first? I'm very cautious. We know we have the top of the lineup, you guys, but that is a trend. Let me know if you'd fade or follow that trend. I'm going to stay off the Yurfie or the Nerfie, but wanted to throw that out to you. The Milwaukee Brewers, the Nerfie at home has cashed in the last 5 home games for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now we know the Milwaukee Brewers early game versus the Cubs. Yet to see the pitcher listed for the Cubs, but we will have Freddie Peralta coming out for the Brewers. I do think Freddie Peralta can limit the Cubs bats in that first inning. We'll see. So keep in mind that Nerfie to come out here between the Cubs and the Brewers. I would say yes to the Nerfie between these two teams. Currently, the Nerfie between them is coming in at minus. You guys, it's so highly juiced, minus 145. Shop those lines out there. See if you can get a better number. But at minus 145, would I throw it into a parlay? Probably not. But you could see that Nerfie cashing. So we've seen the Chicago Cubs also get off to slow starts, especially as an underdog. They've lost their last 5 as an underdog. They've trailed after the first 3 innings as an underdog in their last 4. This could be a good situation if you do like the Cubs and they start trailing in this game to come back and live bet this one in that situation. When we look at the New York Yankees, they've been able to cover the run line as a dog in their last 4 versus the Blue Jays. These two teams play in tight games. So those are your baseball trends that I wanted you guys to know. We're running really long on the show. I got so much information for you guys. I could talk for a full hour. You guys absolutely know that. I just love talking sports with you. Kirby and Screwball Strikeout props, if they start, absolutely. You got to look at those strikeout props for both of those pitchers. I would be comfortable. So Screwball, we saw even like 8.5, 7.5 for the majority of his games. I would be shocked if he doesn't get 10 strikeouts. In this one, George Kirby, I think, has the ability to do the same. So I love where you're going with those strikeout props in that one. I would be definitely, if that is your pitching matchup, looking at the Nerfy in that. I would also look at the first five innings to the under. Dan brought up a good point with Detroit, with their bullpen. You've got to wonder if that bullpen's going to allow those runs. The under in the first 5, solid way to go. And I also think the under in the first 5 between the Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays for that series is going to cash you money as well. So interesting one there. You could watch me for a full hour. I could talk to you guys. Pocket with Joe is coming back. We're going to be talking hockey here as well. We're going to try to keep these shows under an hour, but I can't promise anything, you guys. I've always got a lot to say. Could you imagine living with me? I talk nonstop. My children sometimes want to pull out their hair for sure. Browns versus Vikings under 8.5 punts. Under special teams. I love that, Adrian. Where did you get that bet? That's something that I haven't bet before, the under on those punts out there. Let me know what books you're finding those bets on. But let's get into my college football bets for today. We're first going to look at Western Kentucky versus Delaware. Now, the Blue Hens at home are a 3-point favorite in this one. The favorite has covered the spread in each of Western Kentucky's last 7 games. There's your trend for this game. Yeah, I like that trend, but it's not a trend that's really going to affect this one here because different opponents, and Western Kentucky in some of those situations has been the favorite. So that's a trend to kind of throw out the window. I love to give you those trends though when I see them. The Delaware Blue Hens have just been phenomenal at home, though. Over the last 3 seasons, they're 18-3 straight up at home, as well as 43-18 over the last 10 seasons. So this is a team where you want to back them at home. They're only laying 3 points. I love them just laying the 3 points. Western Kentucky's offense just isn't clicking right now, and they've been struggling defensively to make those tackles. Sometimes watching Western Kentucky, you guys, it feels like I was watching my son's high school team back when those missed tackles were coming, and you're yelling at these kids going, how the heck did you miss that tackle? That's how I've been feeling about Western Kentucky watching them. When I look at Delaware here, I do think they should cover the 3, but I think there's a better way to go with Delaware in this one. I'm just going to look at their team total, you guys. Looking at Delaware's team total over 31.5 is coming in at -114. Then we don't have to worry about if Western Kentucky all of a sudden starts clicking there offensively, because they should. They've got the talent. They have the ability. And I think there could be the ability for the backdoor cover where Delaware only wins this by 2.5. I still think Delaware wins, but I think taking their points over 31.5 at -114 is a solid way because I don't trust Western Kentucky's defense. Now, when I'm breaking down games, I love to look at team totals. This is something you're going to find a lot out of me here, is those team totals. So let's look at another team total here. Charlotte, the 49ers in action against the South Florida Bulls. We're looking at the South Florida Bulls at home in this one. They're laying a heck of a lot of points, you guys. They are laying 27.5 points. There are 28.5 out there. Now, I know Charlotte is not a great team, and I can already hear some of you guys looking at that. Where I'm looking at Charlotte in the first half, they're plus 16.5 in the first half at -122, and you guys feel sick to your stomach, right? I don't blame you because Charlotte has so many issues. They are not strong out there in road openers, losing their last 9 road openers. But weather is going to be a huge factor in this game. This game is expected to be heavy winds and rains. And when we look at that, South Florida is going to look to run the ball. They're going to look to chew up the clock. Running the ball and chewing up the clock with heavy rains, with mistakes coming out there, I think Charlotte in the first half can cover plus the 16.5. So I don't see this one being a game where we're going to get a lot of points. That total sitting at 54.5. I do think it plays to a lower scoring game, and with a lower scoring game, I have to go with Charlotte in the first half. Now, could South Florida pull away for the full game? Absolutely. If Charlotte's able to keep it tight and we see that spread go down for South Florida live in game at the half, or even if it's like a first quarter and we see South Florida go down from that 27.5 favorite going into this one to even like a 15 favorite, that's where I would look. I would look for them to be able to win this by 2 touchdowns. So 2 touchdowns, taking the over 13.5, probably the best of the number if we do get that live betting situation. But I think Charlotte in the first half will be able to hang tight. This is a hold your kind of like breath kind of bet here because it's going to be nasty. Charlotte just not a solid team. South Florida, the better one, but it will be interesting for sure. The lines were 7.5 punts on the books, raised them to 8.5. Adrian, I love where you're going in that game. Again, that was the game between the Browns and the Vikings under the 8.5 punts. You're going to raise it from the 7.5 to the under 8.5. I've been here. I was in Australia for 15 years, then moved to Canada. That is where I've been. Beyonce. Okay. So that's where I'm going, you guys. Let's get that graphic back up one more time. We're going to look at Charlotte, the 49ers, first half plus the 16.5 in that game versus South Florida versus the Bulls. The Bulls are the better team, but the weather concerns are where I'm at. Delaware over 31.5 points. We're also going to look, and then I want to look at New Mexico versus San Jose State. New Mexico coming off the win versus New Mexico State. San Jose State on the money line here. They're a minus 135 favorite at home. New Mexico coming in as a dog out there on the road, but I think this is a live dog, you guys. San Jose State has won each of its last 9 October home games against non-AP ranked teams. I get that, right? New Mexico's offense is improving every week. I really like what we've seen out of them. Their defense is the biggest concern here, though. Their defense has given up 367 yards per game, allowing opponents to convert 41% of their third downs. That is a huge, huge red flag for me. They did manage, though, to completely shut down in that primetime game UCLA's offense. So what defense are we going to get out of New Mexico in this one? If that defense can show up in this game, I do think they have every possibility of getting the win over San Jose State in this one. San Jose State defensively, I'm not trusting right now. Their secondary really struggled last week versus Stanford. They gave up, you guys, 444 yards through the air to Stanford last week. And we look here at New Mexico, and I do think their quarterback, Jack Lane, will be able to move the ball. You look at Jack Lane, he's thrown for 344 yards and 5 touchdowns last week, completing 78% of his passes for New Mexico. Now, I know that was versus in New Mexico State, but I do think Jack Lane will come out nice and strong in this one and be able to move the ball on San Jose State's secondary, who I just don't trust. So give me New Mexico over for their team total. That team total coming in again at 28.5. I think they fly over the team total at 28.5. I think they hit 34, 35 points. And then Jake Lane, their quarterback, over 224.5 passing yards. Like I said, when we look at San Jose State, they did give up 444 yards through the air last week. And Jake Lane was able to throw for 344 yards and 5 passing touchdowns last week with a completion percentage of 78%. Bring that back. We did cash with CMC for his rushing yards, receiving yards to that over. Nicely done there, betting that one. But you guys, that is it for All-Jo Madden over here on Picks and Parlays. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me here. It was a long show today. I'm excited for the weekend slate. If you're looking for any of the handicappers' best bets for the weekend, head on over to picksandparlays.net. We have a loaded show coming on Monday. Don't forget, we are live Monday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern. If you guys want to see the show 5 days a week, you got to hit that like, you got to hit that subscribe, that notification button, and drop below the video those questions, those comments that you have. We'll try to get to all of them there if you're watching this on repeat. But you guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. We will see you on Monday. Don't forget about that Weekend Warrior package running on picksandparlays.net. Handicapper of your choice, all their picks for Saturday and Sunday in football for just $49, as well as the added bonus of Monday's plays. And then the $7 best bet from any handicapper over on picksandparlays.net that is participating today for just $7. You don't want to miss out on that. But you guys, I will see you Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern. I can't wait. All the best in all of your bets this weekend. Until then, stay hot. You know the deal. Let's make some freaking money.